Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a truly special online event today. It's called How Your Intuition Actually Speaks. Experience your intuition language in real time and begin building unshakable self-trust. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the founder and CEO of the Shift Network. And one of the secrets behind the building of the Shift Network is intuition. Is it like something I've really cultivated over time and feel like it is one of the most important skills to navigate life from a more spiritual standpoint, to really contribute our highest gifts and even develop great business strategies and really tune what we're doing to a level of kind of architectural precision. And so intuition really helps us do that. And we're going to get to explore how with some unique teachings with a remarkable pioneer in this space. Her name is Julie Reisler, and she is the podcast host. She's an intuitive coach. She's an author, speaker, Georgetown University faculty. I was on her podcast a while ago, and she's a great host of podcast. And she's really going to share so much of what she's learned about how intuition can really become one of your true superpowers and build the kind of trust to fulfill your life purpose that we're all here for. So, Julie, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It is so wonderful to be here with you, with everyone, and I'm just honored.
Of course, it's great to have you. And I also want to let everyone know up front, we are going to have a brand new course with Julie called Your Intuition Language that we'll share more about towards the end of the hour as an opportunity to go deeper into some of the key practices that she will be sharing today. So, Julie, let's start our time together with a little bit of your journey. And I think, with particular focus on how your intuition opened and became the thing that helped you navigate to the life you're living now.
Yeah, this is so interesting for me to say. Intuition, my path to teaching intuition was not something I ever planned whatsoever. Like this really unfolded through a very personal turning point in my life. And I would say it was about 15 years ago when I noticed really a lot of core things shifting in my life. I was really struggling with my health. I had a health crisis, coming to the end of a marriage. I just felt this like deep sense in life that things on my path were not aligned. And I just started getting a lot of intuitive senses and feelings and just had this deeper knowing. But the thing was, everything on the outside, it looked successful, it looked stable, like nothing on the outside looked like there was anything happening. People did not know this at all. Inside, I kept feeling this quiet sense, this nudge that something really needed to change. And it was a little confusing. I really was grappling with and questioning, like, what is going on? And for me, my intuition then, that I was getting signals that were quiet, they were nudges. Sometimes it was a gut feeling, sometimes it was this quiet knowing that really didn't make logical sense. And I think what crept in for me was a lot of self-doubt and wondering what the heck is going on. It was not an easy time. I really questioned the signals. And, I think like many of us, I was taught and learned to trust logic, really over inner guidance. So I was leaning heavily into the left brain and what made sense or didn't make sense. And I think the big shift for me was those inner signals kept getting louder and kept showing up more and more in my life, to the point I really couldn't ignore them. And eventually I did end up leaving my marriage. I, went back to graduate school and got a degree in health and wellness coaching, and honestly just began building my entire life from a new path that it was guided largely by intuition. Like it didn't make sense on paper. So to people watching on the outside, it was probably like, what is going on? But it actually felt very aligned. And what I was noticing, because I was studying coaching and somatic awareness and nervous system science and neuroplasticity and all of these amazing subjects. And it became clear to me that intuition, it's not mysterious, it is not rare. It's actually something that is a natural human intelligence. It's something we all have. It can speak through the body, it can come through a message. it can come through an image, and or it can come through an inner knowing. And it occurred to me that this signal, this voice was trying to guide me the whole time. And it ended up really guiding me to make a huge shift in my life. And what I've seen over the last 15 years since honestly making a vow with myself to honor and trust my intuition and to follow it is, I've coached hundreds of people. I've been teaching at Georgetown, hosting the podcast, as you mentioned, and guiding thousands of students. Is that most people don't lack intuition. That's not the issue. It's just most of us were not taught how to recognize the language that their intuition speaks. And that's what became super interesting to me. And the realization that really guided the intuition language framework that I am obsessed about because it has changed and literally shifted my life. And what I've seen is it helps people to understand how their guidance works. And that changes everything because you can learn to trust yourself, truly trust yourself, and learn how to follow that in a way where self-doubt becomes not even part of the picture. And I would say that's really at the heart of the work. That's why I'm so passionate about this work and I'm excited to share it and to give a taste of it. It has changed my life and it's changed so many people's lives that I've worked with. And I believe we all have, free access. We all have the VIP access. We just often don't know how to access it and use it.
I love that VIP access. So most people in the Shift Network are on a path of growth and development, and so have probably opened some capacity with intuition. But maybe it's useful to set a little context, first of all, around letting go of the old patterning and opening to the new, since it's like, a lot of people trained in logic to trust their regular senses before their intuitive senses. And so maybe share a little bit about how you find people let go of some of that old programming and then look for and open to the clear signals of their intuition language.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant question. And what I have experienced, it's actually that it's experience. And that's a lot. We'll get a little taste of it today, but it's having the experience of how does your intuition actually communicate with you. And that comes through observation, through curiosity, through evidence, through actual experience of it. The practice, that I'm really focused on is intuition from a somatic lens. We are walking around in our bodies and we're not realizing. I say it like this, we're walking around with these, you can't even put a price tag on the level of intuition and amazing access that we have. It's like all batteries included, but most of us were never taught how to access or use these priceless batteries. And so learning how intuition is going to connect with you through a somatic lens, it's completely life-changing. And that's what has shifted my life. And there will be a lot of experiences so that you are anyone that is, that wants to really become masterful and learn how to cross-reference and understand these signals. So it's not just theory and we're not just relying on sense and common sense when actually there's a whole system of intelligence that many of us are missing.
So let's talk about the intuition language and how, the diversity of ways that intuition speaks to different people and how to sort of first understand your own intuition language.
Yeah, so the intuition language, there's four main ways that we are naturally being, we're communicating, our intuition is communicating with us. And I think this is really interesting because it can seem very simple, yet this is one that people miss often. And there's no right or wrong. The other thing is we can develop all of them, but we typically have a dominant way that we are going to connect through our body. And that would be so either through feeling, like a gut feeling, if you've had a gut feeling, tension, expansion, feeling a tightness, that's all in that somatic feeling. The second language would be around, image, getting a picture in your mind's eye. Inner voice would be hearing a word or a phrase, and then a knowing. It's like having a clear sense about something that has no logical reason. And all four of those languages, they do occur in the body. And so learning how to decode them so you can create your own map in a way so that you can go through life with a lot more certainty and a lot more trust.
So how does each of those four show up in the body in your experience?
Yeah, so for example, if and we'll be doing an experience so people can get this can really get it for themselves, but let's say you ask yourself a question. I do this all the time. Literally, this is how I live my life. Maybe it's a decision you're making, maybe it's, whether to change your job or to move across the country or whatever you're doing. There's something that you're not sure about. So asking yourself that question, there is a process to doing that, but let's say we're asking that question and you're going to get yourself in a state of really connecting to, having your nervous system settled and in a state of coherence. What you'll notice when you ask that question is typically a dominant signal is going to show up. So it might be for me, I actually, all four of them happen. However, oftentimes what will happen is I will hear something. I will hear a word, I might hear a phrase, and I'll hear something. And that would be, right, that like the hearing aspect, that volume. I might also get an image. So if you get an image or maybe a picture in your mind or a symbol, that would be more of the vision language. For some, and I know for me, sometimes there's just a dropped in knowing. It's like, I have no idea. I had never thought this actually happened when I was visioning my new year. I was doing this and I kept seeing mountains and I kept seeing mountains and hearing and sensing Colorado. And I had no idea why, right? And it ends up now I have a bunch of trips and engagements in Denver, in Colorado. I did not know why, but that there was a knowing. Or it might be just this gut, this sense, this expansion. Often for me, it's like this feeling of warmth and openness in my heart area. And we're all different. So this is going to show up for someone else. But what I love is that real time, you can learn to make decisions in your life without outsourcing your sovereignty, without outsourcing, your self to somebody else. It's fine to get wisdom and advice, but I really believe we have the wisdom. We know this. And a way to do this is to learn how to decode those signals. So for some, it might be that you see something first. And that's important to know because we can often downplay it and we can avoid it and we can say, oh no, that doesn't make any sense. But what we want to do is build our muscle. Just like you go to the gym, we want to build the muscle of really being able to trust it. It's so important because, of course, where energy goes and attention flows, that's where things expand. So, that trust is everything. And it's literally guided my life these last 15 years in a way I had no idea I'd be here today. It's been the most beautiful blessing. And that is one of the reasons I love teaching this is I think more blessings, more miracles, can't go wrong.
So you commented that your when you notice there's a kind of warmth in your heart, and so it sounds like that you're using kind of your heart chakra response to something as a sort of almost like a litmus test of like how authentic that was. And we share a little bit more about how to sort of benchmark internally, like when you get these different hits, like what are the signals that might be that to take it really seriously or to really trust it.
Yeah, this is such a great question. And this comes up all the time because it can be very confusing, especially many of us. And, we go through our life unregulated, whether that's our nervous system, that's out of heart brain coherence. And so what happens is fear often speaks loudest. It often speaks in a way that has a sense of urgency, of judgment of, as I said, there's a loud component to it. Whereas what I've experienced intuition, and this is like thousands of experiences between myself and others I've worked with, is when we're regulated, intuition comes in and it's quieter. It is more calm. It's more grounded. There's a subtle kind of confidence, quiet confidence to it. And so even if you're not regulated, you can still get intuition showing up in the four different languages. The thing is that when we are regulated, and that's something we'll definitely focus on and we'll get to do here, what happens is our nervous system regulates, we switch from fight or flight and fear, and we move into a space of parasympathetic and rest and digest and ease. And it's easier to connect to our intuition languages. So, as you said, For some with that feeling sensation, it might be in the heart. I know for some, they feel it, you might feel it in the gut. You might feel it in your sacral and your lower belly area. I know for some, there's like a buzzing in their third eye. This is what's really cool is each of us are so unique. So your way of these sensations showing up is going to be unique to you. It's really, though, cool when you start to realize, oh, like for me, I do feel an expansion in my heart. I just feel it. When something doesn't feel right, it's also the opposite. I tend to constrict, I tend to lean back. I feel like I'm closing. So you get to really learn how your body, the somatics is speaking to you. And so much of it is learning to pay attention and to trust it and to track it and to find that evidence because that builds naturally our trust in our own, amazing, gifted, intuitive knowledge that's been here all the time, all along.
Hmm. One of the things that you said that I kind of want to tease out a little bit more is that you're sort of saying that some of the bigger energies, bigger is not necessarily better with intuition. There's this a subtler, calmer voice, and so sometimes if we notice something that has a strong reaction, it might actually be reason to be like, oh, maybe that's not really my intuition. Maybe that's more coming from fear or another. So maybe share a little bit more about how you've seen that sometimes that, the differentiation between some form of higher guidance and something that might be just an emotional reaction to the moment.
Exactly. And I think the way you asked that and bringing in the emotional reaction, that's a great differentiator. So, for example, with intuition, and I'm assuming we've all had this happen in our life. It's actually amazing. Every person I've ever asked, have you ever had a sense or a knowing or a gut feeling about something you had no idea why and it turned out to be true and you had no logical reason to know that? So, for example, this was recently. I was driving, and I was a little bit late to. I teach one yoga class a week just for fun. I love it, and I was on the way to teach my class, and I had my, the GPS open, and it said to go a certain way, and my what I heard was instead of going right, it said take a left, which made no sense because I actually had the GPS, and it's a good one. I have learned I do not override it, even when it doesn't make sense. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a left. It was quiet. It wasn't berating. It wasn't loud. It just said, make a left. Make a left. That's all it said, very short. And I made a left. I got there on time. And I had a couple different students that came late who told me after that there was a huge accident. If I'd gone right, there was a huge accident that had happened. And had I not listened to myself and I'd gone with what it made sense, I would have been late to teach my own yoga class. So that is a real time example. I have so many others, but it's often got that quality of not a lot of words. There's a quiet confidence to it. What I will say is that if you are being if the sensation or the voice or what you're getting feels like it's judging you or yelling at you or berating you or any of those and kind of in that family that comes under fear or kind of, shame or making you feel bad or doubt yourself, that is not intuition. I have never experienced like that. Now, there have been times where it might be make a left now. It's got that, that confidence to it, but it is not coming from a place of yelling. It doesn't. So that might be a little way to kind of to test and see. And often the other thing is that, for some, it may not be that you hear it. It might be you flash image. You get a flash image of this road versus that road. Or, I know when I was making a decision to go to college years ago, the very last minute, I decided to visit a school that was like, I got in last minute. I didn't know why, but something said go visit for the day. And I kept getting this image. I hadn't even seen the school. I kept getting this image of the quad. And I had another school I really wanted to go to. I was going to go as a sophomore. I was hoping to go there, but I thought, okay, I'll visit. And I kept seeing this quad. And when I got to the school, it looked like what I saw, literally. And I got this like knowing I belong here, right? There was no pushing, there was no yelling. It was just very quiet and confident. And, it ended up being a really beautiful, aligned decision. Now, it probably would have been fine wherever I ended up, but that really felt like the right place. So we're being guided all the time. We really are. And part of what, I think we both have said and is so important is, are we paying attention? Are we pausing? Are we regulated enough to actually take it in?
Hmm. What along those lines, what do you recommend if you're sort of in a situation where you need to make a decision and maybe you're not as regulated? What are the things that you do to sort of like really get yourself in the optimal regulated state to receive like really clear guidance?
Yeah, so I kind of think of it as like there's the, if you have the time, like the fine dining experience where you would take, time in the morning. I am a big fan of starting right out of the gate with connecting in to your higher self, to the divine, meditation, some sort of aligning yourself. It could be a walk outside in nature. It could be, mantra, gratitude practice, affirmation, or something, or prayer, Reiki. I have an hour practice that I do. Now, there are times we're all busy and I can't always do the hour practice. So I think of it as like the healthiest fast food option. Like you need nourishment. So how do you regulate quickly? Very simple. Honestly, take a few deep breaths, put your hand on your heart, and what I would say is just imagine breathing through your heart and just connect in and set the intention that I am here to connect in my heart. It is so simple. It works every time. I use this all the time. I use it actually when I am making decisions and I'm on the go and I don't have time to do a long, beautiful meditation. And it's like, okay, breathe and get into your heart. We are naturally meant to connect into our heart, to our body, to be synced up, to be regulated. So the more we practice it, the more that we're going to have access to it. But it can be really simple. 3 breaths, hand on your heart. You might picture that breath light in your heart and set an intention. Your intention is your magic wand. I think of it as, again, like the healthy fast food. What do you need in that moment? And the intention is to be receiving of your intuition, to be open, to be present. And that is enough. That really does work.
So what do you do with the intuitions you get? Like, how do you sort of help anchor them, ground them? I mean, sometimes it's just following the simplest turning left, as you're saying, but do you have kind of like a sort of a way to sort of build relationship with whatever's coming in that helps to anchor it?
So I do set the intention every morning. I ask to be guided and open. I think the intention piece is important. I also like to thank myself and the intuition after. Another thing I love to do is to keep evidence of it. So, obviously, while you're driving, not a good idea to do that. Every now and then I've done that. Not good idea, not safe. Don't do that. But I'll tell you, every now and then when I can, I'll take a photo of something that will remind me of the experience that I went through. So now in my phone, I have notes with so much evidence, so many examples. So it might be, I might write down what happened. It said take a left, found out later there was an accident. I would have been 30 minutes late, that kind of thing. Sometimes for me, I often do get these nudges and these signals while I'm driving. And so it might be on the truck, there's a word, or on a license plate or a number or something like that. I often also get, that feeling, and I'll write it down. I'll keep a note of it, and it's very, very helpful because the other thing you can start to do is see the patterns. How is your body communicating with you? How is this information from the larger field around you? How is it coming in? For me, as I said earlier, we usually have one dominant and we're all different. As you practice more and more, I truly believe we can begin to develop all of them. But I do think there is an aspect of, what you focus on expands. So you start to focus on it and give some time and attention, even gratitude, it will start to show itself more. It is the coolest relationship to develop. I mean, I really think this is the most important one we have around. It's with ourselves and it's with our intuitive guidance because we're going to live with ourselves, until our last breath. That's it. I know that. That I know for sure. A lot of things I don't know, but that I do know.
Hmm.
Very helpful.
Well, I know you also want to take us on a bit of an experiential journey today to anchor some of what you're talking about. So do you want to do that now?
I would love to. I'd love to. And I think the thing to highlight before we dive in is really the simple, like if you've got a body, you're intuitive. This is not for some people and not for others. I get this all the time. And yes, some have a gift that is, very developed. We all have access. Again, all have this all access pass. So we're going to do an activity that I think is going to be really, really helpful and give you an experience of what we just talked about. So we're going to start with the experience around thinking of a time when you have had a strong intuitive feeling or nudge. So I'm just going to give you a moment to think about a time when you've had that. And it could be, for example, maybe a nudge about a decision. It could be a gut feeling about a person. It could be a sense to go a different direction, like I had explained. It could be something that didn't really make any logical sense, but also felt really and proved to be right. So just take a moment to think about what that would be, that time. And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just take a deep breath. So feel your breath, feel the weight of your body, your feet on the floor. And then slowly open your eyes, and you're just going to write down what was the situation. So, what was the situation, and what was the first signal that you noticed? You do not need the whole story. It's not about overanalyzing. You're just going to write that first signal down for you. So, we're going to explore that a little bit. And as I said, typically we naturally have these 4 different languages. So, we're going to look at how has your intuition shown up. Okay, this is really fun. So I'm going to ask you to just ask yourself about this signal. Did you notice this as a body sensation, as a gut feeling, as an expansion or a tightening or an openness? Did you experience this signal as an image, right? Or, something that you're seeing in your mind's eye, or maybe a symbol? Did you experience this as an inner voice, maybe a word or a phrase? Or did you experience this as a knowing, like a clear sense without any explanation? So just take a moment to write that down or to let that land. And you're going to notice which feels closest to the experience, what the first signal was. And then you can put your pen down or come back to this moment with me. And one thing I want to say is that often it's like we don't realize that our intuition has been guiding us for years, right? And that it's been here all along. You just didn't know how to recognize or decode it. So just notice in that short experience how quickly you were able to get a sense. What we are going to do next, and we talked about this earlier, is to really connect to your nervous system and move it into a regulated state, because we know that fear signals are louder typically, especially when our nervous system is not in a place of being regulated. But when the body feels safe, our intuition signals become clearer and we're able to connect to them more with greater clarity, with greater perception. So I'm going to invite you now. We're going to do this together. What we had just talked about is to put your hand on your heart or both hands on your heart, if that feels good to you. You might even close your eyes. It's always really powerful to go into our inner world. If that doesn't feel comfortable, then just to gaze ahead. We're going to slowly inhale together and release. Exhale, let it out. And again, take a nice deep breath. Bring in peace and light. And just exhale anything else that is not here to serve you right now. And just imagine breathing gently in your heart. You might even imagine a light that is growing strong in your heart. Allow your shoulders to soften and your body to relax. And imagine breathing now through your heart. Inhale and exhale through your heart. Feeling yourself become even calmer, more at rest, more at ease. Take another deep inhale, feeling your heart light up. And exhale, release. And just notice how you feel now in this moment. Notice the greater sense of relaxation. Intuition can come even more in a more in-depth way as we feel more safe and more rooted and more steady. So just notice your energy now. Just notice whatever you notice. We're going to continue because this will be really fun experience for you. So, and you can keep your hand on your heart if you would like to keep that connection. I always love doing that. Or you don't have to. It's up to you. All right, so we're going to try a simple exercise. I'm going to ask you a question. You are going to write down a question that is about your life right now. So some examples, this is not, doesn't have to be super dramatic, but some examples might be, what is a supportive next step for you in your life? What is a decision that deserves your attention? Or what do you need most now in this season? Something like that, or any question that comes to heart and to mind. So you're just going to ask that question. We're not analyzing the question. We're not getting into overthinking the question. We're just going to gently bring our awareness back to that question and take another deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel that connection to your heart, whether your hand is there or not. Feel the beating. Imagine the beating of your heart, the goodness flowing through you, the life force flowing through you. And you're just going to ask the question now, what would my intuition like me to know? What would my intuition like me to know about the question you had asked before? Okay. I'll give you a moment to pause. And you're going to notice the first signal. Often it's not the loudest, it's often very calm and steady, but it's that first signal that you notice. So, as we've talked about, it might be a body sensation, it might be an image, it might be a word or phrase, it might be a quiet knowing. And I'm going to invite you to just observe without any judgment, just come from curiosity. And then if you have a writing instrument, to just jot down what you noticed or hold it in your awareness. And then lastly, we're going to decipher and decode this signal and discern it a little bit further. So, reminder that fear often is going to feel more urgent and loud and pressed and pressured, whereas intuition is going to feel more steady and grounded and quietly confident and calm. And just notice how this signal feels in your body, what you've noticed. And you can slowly, if your eyes are closed, open your eyes again, or if they're already open, just let that land, whatever was shown to you, whatever you got from your beautiful body temple. And I will share that what we just did in a few minutes, many people believe takes years to do, to access. Um, you didn't just develop your intuition right now. It has been there all along, communicating with you. It's just, we often don't know how to recognize how it speaks. And so, even in this experience, as you hopefully got a taste of feeling calm and regulated and noticing those signals in your body and the language that showed up first in that first signal, the more you practice that, the more your self-trust is going to begin to grow in your intuition, in your language, and how it speaks to you. And it's just like compound interest from there. The sky is the limit. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was
Yeah,
impactful.
that was beautiful. Thank you. So I like that you're saying that the more you do that, the more self-trust builds. Maybe share a little bit more about how this kind of the continual practice really does build this sense of like self-trust that's not dependent on external circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen, I think it's such a great question. The more that we can source our own aligned decisions from our own inner guidance, that truly I believe is always coming from this higher intelligence that's for the highest good, the more that we claim our sovereignty, our agency, the less doubt we have, the less fear that you're going to have, the more sense of self-trust, the less, having to feel like you have to go outside of yourself to find the answer. And I've used this on a very personal level, moving through a health crisis. I'll just share, and I have a client this happened to recently. I know for me it's shown up, and I'll share with her this recently happened where, she had a diagnosis. And after this small procedure, they wanted to do a really extensive radiation treatment on her. And she used this practice, and her body said, wait. It just said, wait. That's what she got a knowing, and then she heard wait. And it turned out that she waited and she said, I want to wait. And that was not what both, she went to get two opinions. Both of the physicians said, no, I would recommend you do this now. And it turned out that when they looked at the biopsy closer, they realized she didn't even need radiation. Now, some of that I can't explain how that happened, but I do know your intuition, your guidance system is always going to guide you for the highest good. I've seen this over and over again for myself in healing a thyroid condition. I many times have been told, I've been told do one thing, and my body said wait, or do something different, or try this, or um, I recently, without getting too down the rabbit hole of it, I kept hearing iodine, and that's something some people use, some people don't. And it's funny, I just met with I have a functional physician, and she said, I think we should try some iodine. And I muscle tested it. I brought it to my intuition, and it was like a full yes. And I kept seeing it and feeling it and sensing it. And so I'm going to be starting a very small dose, but that was something that I had been getting real time, a sense and a knowing and a hearing for the last year or so. And it's something that's going to be helpful for me. So this can be used in your health, your well-being, relationships, your career, your financial well-being, like every aspect of life, because it's again, this all access pass. I really think of it like that. It can be used in anything. And to have that ability to know what's for your highest good, I mean, no one else has that blueprint for you. You have the keys to the kingdom in yourself, or the queendom in yourself. And this is why I've become so obsessed with this work, because I mean, I use this all the time. I use this with clients all the time. I teach it. What I've seen is it brings a sense of confidence back, a sense of self-trust, self-love, being able to have self-efficacy, like all of that. And that's important as our world is changing. And there's a lot happening these days. To know what's the best for you, you're going to want to know, to be able to have an actual, a check system that is going to give you verifiable information that really is for your highest good. I don't know any other way that's more important, or more, or that's better, really. So those are just a couple examples. I could think of many more that I've seen.
Super inspiring, and I love how specific the some of the results are with things like iodine for treatment. So, well, Julie, it's clear you've done a lot of work to really synthesize this system and really make it very accessible. And I want to spend some time now talking about your upcoming course, which is a great way to really learn it and apply it in a way that people harvest benefits for years to come. So Julie's agreed to teach this brand new course for Shift. It's called Your Intuition Language. Uncover the sacred blueprint of your psychic superpower for clear communication with your soul. You can find it at the URL yourintuitionlanguage.com. It's a 7-week program. There are no prerequisites for it. It's really just if you're intuitively drawn. So, Julie, I'd love for you to share in your own words what about some of the outcomes and the benefits of taking this program, and then we'll go through the modules and give a tour of what you'll be teaching.
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, I love anything that is, we have free access to. You don't have to earn it, you don't have to buy it. Like, you have all of what you need inside you. It might just be, okay, how do I use it, right? Like, how do I use it real time in a way that's going to help me in all areas of life? So everything from learning. We did like a tiny bit of, preparing your container, regulating your nervous system, meditations, grounding, how to safely connect to your intuition, as well as getting into energy work and preparing yourself to really be able to receive and tune in. That's part of it. You're going to have a very deep understanding of the four intuition languages, how they show up, how to use them, the ones that are dominant, the ones that you would like to build up, how to cross verify. It's really fun. Like really fun. I love bringing in both the left and the right brain and the tracking and the evidence and the worksheets and how do we know like real time. So there's a lot of playing with it so you get to use it real time and see, oh, wow, this works. So through evidence, through experience, I just believe all of that is how we learn and grow and transform and how we build and develop this greater trust. And my intention, the intention is that after, through and after this course, you come out of it with a deep sense of self-trust, of deeper self-appreciation, self-love, always of confidence, of minimizing fear and doubt and overwhelm. And I would say also reclaiming sovereignty, like a real sense of your agency and sovereignty, and being able to make embodied decisions that feel grounded and aligned. That is everything. So those are just some of the things. You're also going to become very proficient at your own intuition, how it speaks to you, how to use it, how to play with it. And that, often leads to completely new possibilities in life. I mean, I'm teaching this now. If this had not happened to me, I don't know. Who knows where I would be? I feel like my timeline shifted. So I always say, like, leave room for miracles and blessings, miracles being shifts in perspective and things that you weren't expecting in the best way and possibility. And of course, blessings. I think when we're tuning in for the highest good and our higher intelligence, we're always going to be guided for the highest good of you and all. So, we want to uplift consciousness here on this planet. This is one way to do this both in yourself and then everyone around you, because we are magnetic. I always say we are contagious, our energy is. So when you're trusting yourself, other people feel that. There's a ripple effect.
Hmm. Beautiful intentions and very much share them. So let's go through the modules and give a tour of what you'll be teaching. So module 1 is on cultivate grounded safety in your body to strengthen your intuitive clarity.
Yeah, and as we got a taste of that, we will definitely be going deeper into how do you ground and regulate your nervous system. This is foundational for well-being, for intuition development, your intuition and emotional activation, looking at the difference between anxiety and fear versus imagination. We're also going to do energy hygiene practices and really learning how to prepare your container. I also do a lot of work around energy, light, the chakras that will come in, how to tell when you're in a calm, regulated state versus when you're not, and then how to reset. We talked today about a quick way to do that. There are many other ways to reset and to return to clarity when overwhelmed. I think I'm not the only one that can feel stressed and overwhelmed, especially in all of what's happening today. So this is going to be like on the court. You're going to learn this so that you have real-time tools in your tool belt, how to do this going forward.
Module 2, discover your unique intuition language to trust how your intuitive guidance speaks to you.
This is super fun. Okay, this is like the umbrella overview where you get to do the actual, we have a really fun quiz that you take and you go deep into the four languages and starting to play with them and get a sense of each of them. You're going to begin to look at the patterns, get a sense of where your intuition language has already been guiding you, your first signals. We're going to do like the experience today times 10. And then you're also going to come up with your personal intuition language profile. So it's like the umbrella before we go deep into each language, and super fun one.
Module 3, read your body's signals to strengthen emotional and somatic intuition.
So the idea is that all four of these are languages that we can all access. So for some of you, this is going to be your dominant language, but we're going to learn how your intuition communicates with you through body sensation, through emotional resonance in a somatic way. And so building your somatic awareness muscle would probably be a good way to say that. You're going to create a body-based yes and no calibration system. And you're also going to get kind of more clear in how your body speaks to you. And for example, I talked about my heart. It might be, it might be the crown of your head. It might be your shoulders. So really getting tools to support this clarity and also to prevent emotional overwhelm.
Module 4, strengthen inner knowing to trust yourself without overthinking.
Yeah, this is one for many of us who are overthinkers. I am one of them. So I love this one. This is like understanding how the direct, calm, inner knowing, like what is that? How does that show up for you? Learn to differentiate between intuitive certainty from assumptions, from fear or projection. We talked just a tiny bit about that. We're going to dive way more into that in a very experiential way to start testing and verifying your intuitive insights. So we're going to get to play here. And then also, how do you discern between like a neutral intuitive clarity versus ego attachment? So we get a little bit into that. And then how do you begin to start trusting your inner guidance, whether this is your dominant signal or not? It's a really powerful one to learn.
Module 5, interpret images and inner guidance to strengthen symbolic intuition.
Okay, friends, this is where I love all of them, but it's really fun because we start getting into the symbols and to the images, and then we start looking at intuitive imagery and imagination, and then the inner voice and the chatter and symbol interpretation, as I said, and using personal meaning and lived experience. And this is where you begin to record and track your intuitive insights as it relates to images, symbols, and the inner voice. So it's a very dynamic module, and often I get, oh, I didn't even know I was doing that. I didn't even realize, oh, I am getting a picture of that. It's just coming through a symbol or a color or, an image that I didn't even think about. So it's a really fun dynamic module that is very much steeped in like getting your hands in the dirt, I would say.
Very cool. Then we all go on to module 6, integrate your intuition languages to expand your intuitive confidence and mastery.
So this is where you start to learn how to play with your multi-channel intuitive. We do check-ins, and you learn how to cross-verify these intuitive signals. And it's kind of like, I think of it as like simple math. Now we're getting a little more into compound math. Like we're going to get more into okay, it's not just the one dominant type. You're going to look and see the other types that are there, maybe like the supporting actor, actresses that are also there. Maybe even, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I have this one too, or this is starting to like bud and show up, and I want to learn how to bring it into the fold. And you will be creating an integrated intuitive map to use for everyday life. So this is where you start to see them all play together, and to work with that so that you can strengthen any underdeveloped intuitive channels, and to really have like a workable map that's going to help you real time in everything, in every part of life, I would say.
And finally, module 7, apply your intuition daily to live with trust and confidence.
Yeah, this is like, all right, friends, let's take off the training wheels. We are now literally like daily life decision making, personal plan for continued intuition development, like all the things, right? You're grounding in energetic hygiene practices, you're building trust through evidence. Like now we're at, module 7, week 7, you've got a lot of data, and there's new synapses that have been created. So you have new possibilities, new awareness. This is actually very fun. This is where we start to see like, whoa, it's almost like feels like magic, right? It's literally the gift of you, right? Your divine intuition language now starts to show up more and more in your life, and it's like, okay, I trust this. Something has shifted. I feel new confidence. I feel more aware. I feel more supported and loved and guided. This is where I get the like, I feel like I have a magic wand in life, and I feel like it's responding. Like it's a very, very cool thing. And so this is where it all comes together in module 7.
Yeah, what a super interesting and very practical program, and it filled with like lots of great insights and practices that you've really time tested. So again, the whole program is laid out in detail at yourintuitionlanguage.com. I'll share a little bit more about it. So you'll get, if you choose to move forward, you'll get the 7 90-minute live sessions with Julie. You're also going to have time in those sessions to ask your questions live and as well as do interactive practices. There'll be recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word for word transcripts. There are weekly exercises for home. There's a small group time to connect with other participants, as well as community group time to connect with people around the world. And you'll also on the page see a number of extra bonuses that are designed to enhance your journey. There's a video in PDF from Julie called Your Intuitive Morning Ritual, a daily alignment practice. You want to share anything about that bonus?
Yeah, so I mean, this is like what I use real time every morning is how do you prepare, set the stage. So it is guided. You literally go through what I do. There's a worksheet to track the signals that you're getting, the meditation to prepare yourself. So it's like you can use this every day. I mean, I'm literally walking you through what I use that has helped me to expand my intuition and my communication through these different languages.
That's just one bonus and a great one to add to this program. And then there's a second one called the Oracle Masterclass, using Oracle cards to deepen your higher self connection. It's a video masterclass with Julie. You want to share more about that, Julie?
Yeah, so I love Oracle cards. I actually have my own set of the USU intention cards, which spoiler alert is a gift that you will be getting. It's part of the bonus. And the thing is that we can connect in many different ways using our intuition languages. And so I literally teach you how, first of all, how Oracle cards work, how to use them, and then we go through a practice. So you'll have a set that you get to use that's a gift, and then you're going to start to create a practice where you use them and then playing with the intuition languages so that you can start to really see how you're being guided from another vantage point. There's a lot of tools we can use. What I have found is Oracle cards, bringing in that energy of fun, of high vibration. Again, going back to our intuition, it speaks to us we hear it more, we can connect to it more when we're in a regulated state. So, of course, when you bring in something fun or that feels like play or that feels like joyful, it automatically puts us in that place. It's like fertile ground. So it's very, very fun masterclass. And you do get the cards and you get to learn how to use them.
Awesome. So that's the second bonus. And then there's a third bonus is the special bonus you get if you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. This is actually a video dialogue between Julie and Suzanne Giesman, who's our really beloved lead faculty for a lot of the work with mediumship and communicating with spirits. So this is called Beyond the Veil, Advanced Intuition and Spirit Communication. You want to share more about that special video between the two of you?
I have a huge grin. This was one of my most favorite conversations. I love Suzanne. I have studied with her. She is a mentor and a dear friend, and you are going to love, love, love this conversation. We talk about intuition and mediumship. We also talk about an energy center that you may not be aware of that is really underlooked, and that is one that's really important to both grounding and connecting in. We had a lot of amazing synchronicities happen in this dialogue, and then we do get into spirit, how to connect guidance from your spirit guides and from this higher realm of loving guidance and intelligence. And I don't want to give it away, but it was such a wonderful, powerful, nourishing conversation that, feels a bit magical. And I think would be something that will really help you also with everything else that we're talking about to really access higher guidance. And if you're interested in, connecting into spirit, your spirit team, we go all in. We go all in is what I'm going to say. So it's a really, really cool conversation.
Well, it's clearly how passionate you feel about that conversation. That's a great extra bonus to get if you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. So it's clearly going to be such a passionate and powerful program, and to really, it's really going to bring really great benefits to your life if you choose to move forward. So it's again at yourintuitionlanguage.com. We've kept the investment very accessible. It's just three payments of $128, or you can save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start April 21st and run Tuesdays at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts, and the community as well. So there's some great testimonials about Julie and her work from really eminent people like Marie Forleo, as well as students. And so you're in really good hands, and you will get some profound practices to really open the intuitive channels and really make this your GPS for life. So again, it's all at yourintuitionlanguage.com, and you'll get that special bonus with Julie and Suzanne called Beyond the Veil, Advanced Intuition and Spirit Communication if you sign up by midnight tonight. So, Julie, we're at the end of our hour. It's been really wonderful to be with you and learn from you. And anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering joining you for the course?
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm obviously very, very passionate about this material, and I want to say that I really believe the power and everything we need is inside of you, and learning how to unlock, to uncover, to decode these beautiful, beautiful languages of higher intelligence. It is like it's priceless to learn how to do this, and it's so loving to be able to give yourself that gift. It's really changed my life. So I would just say, if there's something that called you here, if it felt like a nudge, to just invite to listen to it. And I would say that in life, like going forward, either way, just to listen and tune in and give yourself the gift of building trust, because that, to me, that is the foundation. When we trust ourselves, when we can, resource and access what we need inside and know that we have that, we become sovereign. We become more grounded and embodied and heart-centered and coherent. And that is everything. That is truly how I believe we shift consciousness, one soul, one heart at a time. So, anyhow, I have loved being here. And if it feels aligned and there's a leaning in or a nudge, I would be so honored to have you in this course. We are going to learn so much and have so much fun. I promise you, miracles, little magic, blessings, like all of that. That's what I'm up to. And it would just be a gift to have you there. Thank you,
Mm.
Stephen. This has been so wonderful to connect.
Thank you, Julie. Well, thank you for your passion and the depth of your study and practice in this area, giving us a lot of powerful tools to work with. So thank you all for joining, and we look forward to seeing many of you in the upcoming program. And again, it's all at yourintuitionlanguage.com, and you'll get that special bonus with Julie and Suzanne Giesman if you sign up by midnight tonight. It's called Beyond the Veil, Advanced Intuition and Spirit Communication. So thank you so much. Many blessings.